come back to our manufacturing policies before we wrap up here. But before we do, just to pull together the American Jobs Act that the President proposed back in September, folks, it did not increase the deficit. The program was paid for by changes in the tax policy of the United States. Policies that the President continues to talk about today, that we eliminate the tax benefits that go unnecessarily to the oil company, the oil industry. Some $5 to $15 billion a year of subsidies going to the wealthiest industry in the world. Pull those back. And the extraordinary low taxes that have been available to the super rich, the top 1%, and restore those to the Clinton-era tax and other tax proposals that he had made, so that the proposal was fully paid for, not decreasing the deficit, but rather putting people back to work, creating the jobs that are necessary to move the economy and to get the American middle class back into the game so that they can prosper and so that we can rebuild those American manufacturing jobs. The 9 million jobs in manufacturing that were lost between 1990 and 2010. And keep in mind that over the last 29 months, there has been private sector job growth every one of those 29 months. And so when people say, no, no, it's not good, say, it's not good enough, but at least it is happening. Men and women are going back to work in the private sector. The public sector continues to lose jobs and continues to shed jobs. But on the private sector job side, in part because of the policies we've been talking about here and the inherent strength of the American entrepreneurial and business spirit, people are coming back. Not as strong as we want. But if the American Jobs Act were in place in its fullness, we would be moving towards a more balanced budget, reducing the deficit, and putting people back to work. We're not there yet, but we've not given up on this, and one of the major pieces of this is what we call Make It in America, because manufacturing matters. I know in your district you've been talking a lot about this Mohawk Valley and about this great history. I'm not going to let you continue on without saying, hey, I'm from California. And we know entrepreneurship, and we know about the next generation of jobs and the next innovation. But New York still is there, and we'll vie for you for the best in the nation.
Absolutely. You know, and I see the order of progress, Representative Garamendi, that we've achieved in that private sector that you just outlined. And it's regrettable that the solution for which the President is calling to provide for the public sector side, which would speak to greater numbers of employment, because we've taken that 4 million plus in private sector and reduced the overall results by losing some public sector opportunities, which speak to soundness of community, public safety, educating the young, providing for public protection out there. These are important aspects of quality of life. They ought to be embraced. So we've denied part of the President's agenda. We've recognized the success and strength of part of his plan, but there's been this partisan divide. There's been this holding back on progress, because perish the thought if the White House should look good in this comeback from a recession. Well, we need to place the public good, the nation's good, ahead of partisan divide. Absolutely essential. And, you know, to then criticize the President by restraining some of the progress that he's trying to cultivate and saying he's not cleaning up the mess quick enough, well, there was a huge mess delivered just before he assumed office. 8.2 million jobs is a tough situation from which to walk forward from. And I think that there is a solution there, and we ought to work and put America first, the needs of this nation first, so as to be able to continue the walk forward and not negate any of the progress that we're achieving.
Let me